congratulations first to this project that's going on. I've got to thank people. Can I do this? Okay. Now, who's here? First of all, I think, there you are, George Fenton, who did the incredible score. He's somewhere in this audience. Where are you, George? You there? It's absolutely beautiful score. And he did it all on his home computer. Andre Jacquemin, who, sound designer, there he is. Who else is here? Jilly Aziz, Jilly, set dresser, made it beautiful, made it wonderful. The incredible cast gathered together by Irene Lamb. Where are you, Irene? There she is. And who else? I know I'm forgetting somebody. I've got to do this. Who?
Makeup designer.
Kirsten. Makeup. Kirsten Chalmers. And then a member of the cast who you didn't see on stage, but she plays the most annoying computer voice on the planet, Margarita Doyle. And then Amy Gilliam, who produced all the commercials and ads outside and basically covered my back through the whole shooting. She's there somewhere. And the lady with the hardest job of all, Maggie Weston, former Maggie Weston, Maggie Gilliam, my wife, who has to live with me. Anybody else want some thanks? Congratulations. You've been excellent tonight. Great audience, thank you very much. You in particular were wonderful.
So I'm sure you've got many questions for Terry, but I'm going to leave you, let you a few minutes to gather your thoughts, and I'm just going to start with one question. Terry, I heard that you described the Zero Theorem as a third part in a trilogy following Brazil and 12 Monkeys, and a warning against the dangers of it's not true.
Who invents this nonsense?
I didn't make it up.
I know, I've read it. I mean, these things happen, you know, life is sort of invented around you. No, it wasn't that. It was basically something to do the second half of last year, because I was out of a job. That's why I did it. I'm sorry. Nothing to do. I had no interest in the film, the ideas, nothing. It was just a job.
Nothing against the danger.
No, nothing against our danger of technology, of connectivity, of national security agency at the top of the end there. None of those things were important. The story was just about a guy who liked working on his computer, and some people came and bothered him.
It's a love story.
What?
And it's a love story as well.
Yeah, it is a love story. That's what came out. In a sense, it was a great strength when we finished shooting it, and we were in the editing room, and I was busy throwing out all the bits that we didn't like. It was more triage than editing, I think. And what came out was Melanie in the love story, which was so powerful, and she was so wonderful, and he was so vulnerable and unable to go away with her. It was very tragic. It's terrible.
Shall we start with questions from the audience? You can raise your hand.
There's a hand.
Yeah, gentleman over there. We've got roving mic, I think.
You were being slightly disingenuous when she asked the first question, but the theme of this movie is something that has cropped up in Brazil, in 12 Monkeys and The Fisher King, of someone kind of driven mad by their environment, perhaps driven mad by modernity. And I was wondering why that's a theme that you keep drawn back to.
I think every so often I try to make sense of the world, and so I make a movie which, to me, is describing the world I see, and think I really got it cracked. And then a year later I discovered I was completely wrong, so let's start again. And it goes on, and at the moment, you know, the web, modern connectivity is a Damocles sword. And it's both wonderful and it's terrifying, and I think it's supposed to be bringing us together. I think it's actually isolating us more and more. And it certainly makes it easier when you've got people like the NSA busy at work, keeping tabs. I mean, it's great, isn't it? They're listening to everything we're doing. Each of us is really wonderful. There are millions of little spies out there listening because we're so interesting. I mean, this is the kind of nonsense side of it. So I don't really know what the answers are. My attitude is raise some questions, point some fingers at things that bother me, and see if they affect other people. That's all it's about, really.
Next question. Yeah, the gentleman just here.
Hello there, congratulations, I really, really enjoyed the film. One thing I always feel about your work is that you elicit these marvellously physical performances from your cast, particularly there we saw Christoph Waltz give the kind of performance we haven't really seen him give before, and I just wonder, is that something that you consciously work towards, or does that kind of just happen organically?
It's a bit of both. I mean, I really like casting people against type, because it's so easy for actors, especially successful actors, to get trapped in a kind of character, an image that people expect them to be like on film. And they're good actors, and so I like grabbing people and putting them into parts they might not normally, or we haven't seen them do, more to the point, and let them fly. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, I don't think I direct as much as sort of just create a situation that people enjoy working in, and they then provide all the magic. We just keep the camera pointed in the right direction, hopefully. And Christoph is magnificent always, and I think this shows another side of him we haven't seen. He's been brilliant in Quentin's films, no question about it. But this is a man he's so vulnerable and so confused and damaged, and it's there. I mean, the great thing about him, since the film is really 85% is just on him, is that cutting it was so easy because he gives us so much. Every moment there's something going on, and it's surprising and it's interesting, and it's never playing to the gallery. It's very subtle. It's there. He's fantastic to work with.
Any more questions? Gentleman in the back. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, what influences your visions of the future, like throughout your films, because you've done so many different visions of the future, and this is like
I never think it's the future. I think it's what we're living in now. I just distort it a bit, push it a little bit. In fact, I kept finding in this one, we would, like at the beginning on the road, Renault gave us 15 Twizzys, those little cars. And I'd never seen one before, but by the time I got back to London, there was one parked by our house in Highgate. And whoop, the future's arrived. I mean, that's why I like the line that Gwendolyn says, the future has come and gone, where were you? Don't miss out the next time. And it feels like that. The future is actually working backwards. Things like the party with everybody with their iPads and all dancing and not communicating with each other. We finished all that, and I discovered parties are going on like that already. So it's all out there. I just distort it a bit and try to confuse it by having a bit of retro technology mixed in with future technology. The one thing I thought was interesting, liquid memory. And the next thing I knew, I was reading, I think it was a BBC website, they were using DNA and other sort of bodily fluids as a potential basis for computer memory. So I think films are probably moving to the future faster than the future is moving to the future, or something like that.
Can I see?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, you're next. You're next, sir. Sorry.
We've already heard how you get great performances from your actors. There's two ways I could ask this. Are there any actors you had to turn away for this one, because they must be queuing up to work with you?
Who? Who are these people?
And maybe I should ask it the other way. Who would you most like to work with in your next production who you haven't worked with?
I kind of don't work that way. I mean, you write something, you find the characters, and then hopefully you're drawn to somebody who fulfills the job you're thinking of. On the other hand, and that's what's great working with Irene, because she always throws up other names that I'm not thinking about, and to me, it's trying to surprise myself all the time, like getting people that I wasn't thinking about to play a role. And you just want to work with great actors. And it's as simple as that, because shooting is a rather tedious process at times, because you've thought in advance and you can go through it in a very mechanical way. But it's the actors that every day come in and bring something new to it, a different angle. And that's what keeps me alive when we're working. So more and more, I think I'm drifting away from the bigger things I did earlier. Well, also, I'm not drifting away, I'm not getting the money to make them, so let's be honest. So let's work smaller and just work with great actors, and you then work together and create the scenes. That's what's happening with Christoph and me. Every day we'd go in and argue about Why those words? Well, I said, they're in the script. Let's say them. It doesn't work. And we'd shift it and suddenly off we go. It was working fast, and that's also nice, just to give, like, giving space for the actors is what it's about. And I don't know if you're aware of, I'm not using all the wonderful cuts and close-ups and bings and angles that go on in most films. I just want to give a space for them to work. And if they miss their marks, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It's like a great thing as well with Christoph, you get the extra bonus you've got kind of producing as well. So it's sort of investment in the product.
Yeah, these are ways the producers get to pay us less by giving us a credit. I mean, this film was done for very little, and almost everybody in it worked for a fraction of what they would normally work for. I mean, that was the great thing, particularly about the British cast. They came down and I think basically worked for scale just to play with this, and that was wonderful.
Yes, sir.
You put so much stuff in your films, Terry, that I feel I need to see them at least half a dozen times.
Now you got it. That's the key.
But how do you keep all that, all the different plates spinning? If you see what I mean, that's what I'm always fascinated to know. Is you've got all the different elements in the film, which obviously you've been good enough to credit all the different people that come and help you with that. But you're the plate spinner. How do you keep a handle on it all?
I know, again, work with good people, and they're constantly bringing new things to it. Again, trying to create an atmosphere where everybody can do what they're best at and do it well and come up with ideas. Because so many films seem to be, people are intimidated to actually throw in all these new ideas. So I'd rather have a million ideas, and I'm just the filter. And I always said that when people said, oh, you're an auteur, I said, no, I'm a filter. And I get credit for most of the ideas, and only a fraction of them are mine. They're other people's ideas, and I just say, that's part of the world we're trying to create. Let's do that. Let's do this, and then you don't sleep a lot. That's the other way to do it. Thanks.
Yes, please.
So I was wondering, first of all, congratulations, and thank you for being here. I thought the film
Being
was
alive?
Thank
you for
I thought the film was brilliant and particularly relevant, and I love what you said about it sort of being an exaggeration of the present rather than the future. And I was wondering if you had a positive vision of the future, whether that is with or without technology, and what that would be.
I don't. I gave up on utopian thinking. I don't. I just sort of watch what's happening and wonder where it's going to go, and sort of aware of how much noise we make against certain things. There's a wave of things. Things sort of go until they fall off a cliff, I think. And so I'm not particularly hopeful of the future, to be quite honest. I think there's so many things going wrong that we don't seem to be able to stop. And so I don't know. So I'd rather think of a less than good one and be surprised when it turns out to be okay. The future finally arrives.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I think we've got time for one more question. Yes, please.
Thank you for a wonderful film. I loved it. Hello.
Oh, why am I looking there?
I was just wondering if there's any chance of Good Omens ever being made.
Yeah, I don't know. I've actually been talking to Neil Gaiman and, strangely, some people on Terry Pratchett, thinking whether its time has come to put on television a 6-part series. It might be better than a 2.5-hour film. We can do much more of the book. I don't know. I don't know anymore about how the system works. Every time you think you get a grip on it, it suddenly whoop, shifts over that way. But television is the most interesting thing going on. It's much more interesting than cinema right now. The writing that's coming out of cable television in America, the programs, they're fantastic, they're wonderful. And I don't know where cinema is going now, because basically Hollywood makes movies that are $150 million and more. And they go out, and then the rest of the films are sort of $10 million and less. And then how do you get distribution for the film? Because you're against the big ones. The exhibitors need to make money. They want to play it safe. I don't think it's a great time for film at the moment. So maybe television, certainly Netflix and Amazon in the future. Anyway, I got to say something about this. I've been planning it. This film, you may not have noticed. I don't know how many of you noticed. At the edge of it, rather than a square corner like that, at 90 degrees, did you notice that the corners are slightly curved? There's a reason for that. Because this is the first one-size-fits-all, full-frame, semi-vinyl motion picture. Thank you very much. Because what we did, your computer, your iPhone, your television screen, is the proportions are 16 by 9. What you see there is 1:8:5 to 1. So we shot ours 16 by 9, and that's the proportions of it. So people will see exactly the same thing, whether they're in the cinema, or watching it on television, or watching it on their iPhone. The really awful people in the world will have to see exactly the same thing. And there, so that's, well, the other thing we did, that's the one-size-fits-all part. The full frame is what you're seeing is what you used to see if you were in the 1920s watching cinema, when what you would see is exactly what the camera saw. What the gate inside the camera where the film goes through has got rounded corners, and it's what you see there. Everything is visible, but in the modern world, there's a safety area, which most films use, which you chop it off so you don't see hairs in the gates and all the silly things that get in the dirty gate. We've shown the entire frame. You're seeing exactly what the camera, there's nothing hidden on that one. Everything is, so that's the full frame part. The semi-vinyl part is, film is analog, just like, you know, old 33 on a third RPM moves, and people like analog, or some people like analog. So that's the vinyl part of the film, but there's 250 effect shots in it which are digital, so that's, I can't lie to you and say it's full vinyl, it's semi-vinyl, and it's a motion picture. Thank you.